Hey guys, it's Felix the Amazon Cat here. In this video, we're going to be talking about the 6 different sourcing methods that have made me over £300,000 in the past 2 years on Amazon. I'm going to be covering the positives and the negatives of each sourcing method and going over examples of products that I've sold in the past. Method number 1 is retail arbitrage. So this is where you're just buying from normal stores like Sainsbury's, Asda, B&M, there's some common ones. And essentially you're just sourcing products using a SellerAmp app. So it's an app on your phone, you just scan the barcodes of all the products in the stores. From that you can work out what price you need to buy those at for it to be profitable to sell on Amazon. Now most of the deals through retail arbitrage usually come from clearance sections or big sales. I know that anytime Tesco have some good clearance deals on stuff, I'm always going to be scanning it to see just in case, is it profitable? The positives of this method is that it's super beginner friendly. You know, anyone could just download this app, go into a retail store like Tesco and just get scanning products. But the downsides are that, to be honest, it's not really that scalable because you're kind of having to rely on these stores actually having the stock, and you could spend all day driving about a bunch of stores and get really unlucky and just not really find that much. Especially compared to a lot of the other methods we're going to be talking about very shortly. I just don't think it's that great, aside from when you're just, you know, starting out from Amazon and just trying to learn the basics. But yeah, just saying that, one of the best ever retail arbitrage products I have found is this Lego bulldozer. I found it at Smith's purely by coincidence. I was just in there with a few friends of mine and spotted a set that I knew had just recently been discontinued. I gave it a little scan. It was £370 in store and it was going for over £700 on Amazon. I managed to pick up the last 3 units the store had, and from that I made over £450 in profit just from that one trip that, to be honest, I didn't even go to Smith's knowing it was going to be there or trying to make money. It was just pure coincidence, but yeah, super lucky find. Method number 2 is manual sourcing, and I would say hands down this is probably the best sourcing method that you can do, though unfortunately it does tend to be a little time consuming. So essentially what you're doing is looking at online stores, it's online arbitrage, and you're manually going through these stores, checking products against various different pieces of software to ensure that you know it's like a good deal, like SellerAmp and Keepa. And then you're using discount codes, coupons, cashback to get the price as low as possible so that it's profitable to sell on Amazon just by buying it from these, you know, usual online retailers. So the positives to this method is that it's way more scalable, you know, versus retail arbitrage where you're having to go through loads of different stores, physically visit them, you know, drive around. You can do all of this from the comfort of your sofa. And you also end up finding a lot of products that most people just aren't going to be finding. So you're going to have a lot less competition on the listings. You're a lot less likely to have issues where prices fall and the seller count explodes. You're mostly just going to be finding loads of unique products. The downsides to this method, unfortunately, is it is quite time consuming. As the name suggests, you are just manually scanning through websites and you could spend hours and not really find that much stuff. Thankfully, there is a solution to this. So I actually have 2 people working for me in the Philippines and they're manually sourcing websites all the time. You pay them about £350 a month. And from that, they can find you thousands and thousands of pounds worth of stuff that you can be then selling on Amazon for a profit. So it, you know, it works and it pays for itself in terms of paying for their salaries, but it's definitely a tricky method as a beginner to just be going through sites manually because it can be pretty time consuming. So in terms of the best product that I found through manual sourcing, honestly there are just so many to pick from. One that really stands out is a current bestseller of mine. And so this is good for mainly the reason of ROI. So I'm making about £20 profit per unit and 133% ROI, which means I'm making over double what I'm putting in. So for every, you know, £100 I'm putting in, I'm getting £266. Now, don't quote me on that math, but it's about that. It's decent, it's very, very good ROI. And I also managed to get over 200 units of this product. Now this definitely wouldn't have been possible through a lot of other sourcing methods like Storefront. This would have been out of stock, you know, days before I'd have found it. But because I was manually sourcing the product, I'm now the only seller on the listing. Nobody else even knows what this product is. And obviously I can't really share too much information about it because it does restock at certain points throughout the year. And I definitely want to keep this product as one that I definitely restock and replen at certain points. Method number 3 is storefront sourcing. So this is a brilliant method and it's really accessible for beginners. Essentially, you're looking at other sellers' storefronts, you know, usually people that are much more well established than you, maybe high review counts and lots of different products in stock. And you're then searching for those products on Google and just trying to find all of the ones that are still in stock at a profitable price. And then you just buy them. It's kind of as simple as that. Now the positives to this method is, as I said, it's super accessible for beginners and yeah, it's just fairly easy. And you're also trusting the guidance of someone that's already well established, and you know, the likelihood is there's going to be a lot of data behind these products. easily readable, and you're gonna very quickly be able to tell whether or not the product sells. The downside really is that you're kind of late to the party when you're buying these products. They've already sent that product into Amazon, they've already had it shipped and made available for the customer to buy. Because of this, they could have found that product weeks ago, and it could be very likely that because you're kind of late to the party, that there's gonna be a lot more sellers soon to join the listing, and that puts you at risk of more competition and tanking prices. And to be honest, I tend to use this method fairly sparingly, but it can definitely be used well if you know what you're doing. Whenever I'm doing this method, to be honest, I tend to not go too deep on units. I don't want to buy months and months worth of stock just because there's kind of that added risk of other people joining the listing. And I also tend to only go for products that are really high ROI. So even if the price slides down a little bit, I'm still going to be pretty comfortably making profit. The best product that I've probably found through this method is these Nokia phones. So I was only making about £2–3 per unit, but it was a really good ROI. I think it's 46% ROI off the top of my head. And this listing just has crazy volume. It sold thousands of units a month, so I was quite comfortable buying 1,000. And obviously, if you're doing the maths, you know, £3 profit per unit times 1,000 netted me about £3 worth of profit. So definitely up there with one of the best leads that I've bought through Storefront sourcing. So method number 4 is Keepa Product Finder. Now this is a brilliant piece of software that essentially allows you to get really specific about what products you want to see. It has a map of Amazon's database of every single product on the platform. From there, you can then specify stuff like sales rank, amount of sellers on the listing, and the pricing and the category, to get a really specific list of the kind of products you'd want to sell that already sell well on Amazon. So you're looking for stuff that probably sells, you know, 50+ units a month already without any need for advertising or all that kind of stuff. You then just take this list and just very simply search for all of these products on Google and try and find suppliers at a profitable price for those products. The positives to this method is that if you get specific enough with your filters, you can very easily evade any competition and join listings where you're going to have fairly few people to compete with and just capture most of the sales for yourself. Now this is definitely one of the more complex methods of sourcing, and it's one that I know most Amazon sellers just don't really know how to do that well. So if you can practice it a lot and get really good at it and get some really specific filters saved, you can make a lot of money and just put yourself way above any other seller that's using the more easily accessible methods like retail arbitrage and storefront sourcing. So the only real downside that I can think of about this method is it's a little bit time consuming when you're first getting started, and it can be a little bit daunting looking at all these different filters and trying to figure out what actually works. But once you've put in that initial effort, you've played about a lot, experimented with what works and what doesn't, once you've got those filters saved, this method can just be life-changing. And once you've got these initial filters saved and you know what you're doing, after that, it's not as time-consuming as it first is when you're first learning the skill. So probably the best product that I found using this method was a Brother printer. These were selling for £86 profit per unit, and it was 60% ROI. So just, you know, phenomenal on those sort of stats. I bought about 30, so, you know, a few grand profit just off that alone. These are actually a really well-known UK retailer known as AO. You've probably seen the adverts on TV. I know I have. It's places like this that if you know where to look and you get on at the right time, you can find such profitable products so easily. So method number 5 is Amazon to Amazon sourcing. Essentially, this is where you're buying an item from Amazon themselves at a point where the price is fairly low, you know, it's probably on sale or some sort of promotion, and then you're buying it in the hopes that the price goes back up and you can then sell it at the full retail price later on that month. I actually really like this method. I find there are loads of different positives to it. The main ones being that if you can get in an order of say 1,000 units, unlike some other retailers that are often going to cancel your order if you try and order that many, if you can order 1,000, Amazon will just ship you 1,000, no questions asked. So if you want big quantities of items, if you want to go really deep on a certain really good deal, it's super easy to do that. Just thinking just back to last Prime Day when there was loads of Amazon to Amazon deals, there was a particular product that I bought over 150 units of, which should net me, you know, thousands of pounds in profit. And it was as simple as just ordering it. No trickery needed. Whereas another retailer that was a little bit more stringent on that sort of thing might have only let you buy 3 units at a time, and it would be pretty time consuming just doing repeat checkouts of 3 at a time to get that sort of quantity of that product. So the negatives to this method is really just that it's a little bit speculative. You know, when you are actually buying the stock that you intend to sell, it's not yet profitable to sell on Amazon. It's obviously still at the same price you're buying it for. Unlike with OA and manual sourcing and that kind of stuff, where when you buy it, it's already going to be profitable on Amazon because it's always at the full price there. Now, to be honest, when I first got started with doing this method, when I was first learning the ropes and getting more confident with my sourcing, if there was ever a time when after 30 days the price hadn't gone up to a profitable level, I would just return it to Amazon because they're pretty lenient on that sort of stuff. And To be honest, if you're a beginner, there's not really any shame in doing that. But these days, you know, I've honed my craft. I know exactly what I'm doing really for, you know, 99% of the stuff that I'm buying. So I don't stress that too much, and I just get it sent into Amazon straight away before the price even goes back up, because I'm very confident with the stuff I buy nowadays that it is going to go back up to that expected price. So in terms of the best product that I got through A2A, again, there are so many good ones that come to mind, but probably the king of everything is these Shark Hoovers. So there's loads of different models of Shark Hoover that have been good A2As in the past, but for this particular one, this listing just had crazy sales volume. I think it was selling like 800 plus units a month. It was just when I was first starting out my Amazon journey, so it was a big deal finding this back then. I bought about 50 units. They sold almost instantly as soon as they were available for sale on Amazon. Definitely if I was gonna find that deal nowadays, I'd probably go even deeper. I'd buy like 200 units, 300-400 if I had the money to. But yeah, I was just being a little bit more cautious because I wasn't super confident that I'd, you know, analysed it correctly. But thankfully I was right, and it did end up making me quite a lot of money. And finally, method number 6 is wholesale. So to be honest, I have mixed feelings about wholesale. On one hand, I have found some really good stuff through there. I've obviously talked about my best deal very shortly. But on the other hand, it can be really time consuming. So wholesale is essentially where you're buying from suppliers that are set up for selling to business customers. You're often buying in large amounts. They may often have minimum order quantities, so you have to buy a certain value or a certain amount of units to actually be able to purchase that. So it's not super beginner friendly, and to be honest, I would say to anyone watching this with a low amount of capital, it's probably best to just stick with arbitrage. It also can be quite difficult as an Amazon FBA seller to be buying from wholesalers. Most wholesalers aren't really up for selling to Amazon FBA sellers, so sometimes you have to be a little bit deceptive and say that you're selling it through your website. And I also often find that it's a bit like finding a needle in a haystack when it comes to profitable deals to sell on Amazon. With the extra fees that they charge and all the other costs that come with it, often finding a deal that's actually profitable can mean looking at 1,000 deals before you find one really good one. It is honestly quite difficult. Even when you do find a good deal from a certain wholesaler, I do find that often you're settling for lower margins, lower amount of volume on the listing in terms of sales, and often it's just less efficient. Realistically, if you're going to put the same amount of time into one of the other methods I've just talked about, you're just going to have better luck with finding a profitable deal that's going to give you a much higher ROI. Saying that though, I have just recently struck a deal with a certain supplier for a load of Turtle Beach products. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they make headphones, like gaming headsets, stuff like that. I've just managed to pick up over 1,000 units of stuff at an average ROI of about 50%. One of these products in particular sells over 1,000 units within a month, and I was able to sell over 200 units just within my first week of selling it on Amazon. These were all selling for £11 profit per unit at 60% ROI. So that's just over 2 grand in profit in 1 week from just one product out of probably about 20 models that I managed to pick up. So yeah, those are the 6 mainstream sourcing methods that most Amazon FBA sellers, including myself, are using. I do use all of these fairly frequently, but to be honest, besides manual sourcing, the bulk of my purchasing nowadays is mostly based on 3 secret methods that I've been developing over the past couple years. My best leads all come through these, and I use these methods myself, as well as I've taught my VAs how to do it, and I've also been teaching my mentorship students how to follow my footsteps and do the same. So these mainstream methods are great for, you know, the majority of Amazon sellers, but if you really want to take things to the next level, it's always good to not be following the crowd and doing things just a little bit different so you don't end up joining the same listings as everyone else. And like I said, these sourcing methods make up the majority of the purchases I'm making nowadays, and I've now scaled my Amazon FBA business to consistently making me 20 to 25k each month. I think my month to date so far is actually 40k this month. It's just absolutely exploded for the Christmas demand. And so far, it's looking like this month could close at over £55,000 in profit from my sales, which absolutely ridiculous, to be honest. So as far as I know, I'm the only person in the game right now who's using and teaching these methods to other people. If you are interested in learning more, scan the QR code or hit the link at the top of the video description to book a call with me to inquire about my mentorship program. I'm only planning to take on like 3 or 4 people this month at a max in the coaching program. So if you are interested, please reach out to me because slots are limited. So as well as learning these secret sourcing methods, we'll cover every aspect of Amazon over 6 months with group sessions, one-to-one calls with me, and you'll even have access to a channel where I put all the leads that I'm finding and all the suppliers that I'm buying from. So you really can't fail. And I've actually even got mentorship students that have made over £60,000 in profit in the last 30 days alone, just from these methods. It really is a testament to how easy it is to make money in Amazon when you're just not following the crowd and doing things a little bit different to everyone else. If you did want to hear from the man himself, the guy that has made over 60,000 profit in the past 30 days, click the video here. If you enjoyed, hit like and subscribe to see me in the next one.